let's start. I'll just kind of explain who I am, and we'll kind of get into it here, right? So Bruce Jones, I recently started 2 new SEO companies, although I have experience doing SEO for more than 16 years. So I have this training company, SEO 101 training. I help business owners, marketing departments, entrepreneurs, all that kind of stuff on a one-on-one personal search engine optimization training.
Ay, nako.
Yeah. And so that's kind of what I do. But for the people that don't want to learn SEO, I'm also an SEO consultant too. Right? So I started this out because I was trying to think of what are some good keywords to focus on related to helping people with the coronavirus type of stuff. And so I ended up looking through different keyword tools, and then I didn't find anything. And then I looked in Google Trends, and it's like, oh my God, it's like a whole new world in there. And so that's why I figured I would put this together to bring it to people's attention, along with some of the other tools that I do there. So feel free to, I think just with using Zoom, this could definitely be an interactive meeting. People got questions. Hopefully we can go through it like that, right? We'll see what the deal is. Okay, so next page. Yeah, so for sure, it's a different place today than what it was a month ago or however long ago it was. It's like a whole new world now. And some people say, like, it's never going to go back to the way it was before. Who knows what that's going to end up to be? I'm guessing that's going to be a little bit different version of it, but still, it'll be similar. All right, so then somebody's got some background noise there. Is that you, Colin? Or yeah, I guess if you got background noise, then if you don't mind just putting yourself on mute before I figure it out there. Okay, thanks. So I guess either way, if tomorrow is going to be the same as it was or a different version of it, there's definitely a new normal that it's going to be, and there's opportunities to try to take advantage of that, right? I was looking for different quotes that might be good here, and one of them is from Gandhi. It was really kind of coming down to, you have to try different things, otherwise you won't see what works for you. But if you don't try anything, the basics are there'll be no results related to that. So this is kind of just my attempt, I guess, of seeing what I could do and share that knowledge out through there with the rest of the world. Feel free to, share this with other friends and things like that too. All right, so here's a thing from Neil Patel. He's probably everybody knows who Neil Patel is in this SEO world at least, but he published this related to different business segments, and are they up or are they down related to search results. So it's like, look at travel, for example. Of course, that would be a no-brainer. Nobody's traveling, so travel searches are way down. But other businesses like the media business or food or healthcare, those businesses are up. And this PowerPoint here, I'll share with everybody else after this event too. And it's being recorded also, so we'll be able to, you could refer back to anything I mentioned related to that too, right? Okay, so let's kind of start out with the basics of SEO. Really, it's, me thinking about it here, and I've never really seen anybody publish it in this way, but you really could break down SEO into 3 different components. One is, what are the keywords that people are searching for? Those are related to, like, what's the search volume, how many competitors, what kind of search intent it is. There's a lot to do with keywords, but once you figure out what those searches are that people are doing or the phrases that they're using, then you would use those in your content. So that could be on a blog post, on a page on your website, within a social media post, all those kind of things like that. Sorry. Someone got something to say? Then after, when it comes to, after content, content would even include like a business description. Did you use a keyword in how you describe your business or your client's business or whatever it is there like that? So there's a lot of places to be able to use the right keywords. And then the next part is backlinks. And that's where other websites have links to your website, boosting your credibility. So that's kind of like a vote in Google's eyes. All things being equal, the website that has more links pointing to them, Google's going to think that's the site with more authority and give it more power. That's where you see sometimes the powerhouses out there coming up on all the search results, the news articles, and the news sites. They post something, it's pretty much going to get to the top right away. So it's a little bit harder for smaller websites to rank number one because they don't have the backlinks possibly that's kind of talking about their authority. All right.
Now, I have two questions about the backlinks. First of all, there is a lot of weight given to the concept of backlinks, and there has for a long, long time. But I've also read that outgoing links to unrelated websites, outside websites, not unrelated, related outside websites, weighs pretty heavily as well. How does that figure into this?
Well, with SEO, Google never published the Bible, so everybody has their opinions and their translations of the Bible. My translation would be that your website is like a 55-gallon drum of link juice. You want to have all the spigots pouring into you, and you don't want to drain any out the bottom of that. Sometimes it makes sense when you're talking about a particular topic on a page or a post that it makes sense to link out to those other websites. But I wouldn't just say like, oh, let me find some other good websites to link to that would help you. In my opinion, it would only hurt you. Then there's the difference between do follow and no follow links too.
Right. Okay. And my second question regarding that is, for instance, if you have a website, hypothetically, let's say for a hairstylist, and they have backlinks coming in from a shampoo company that they use. Yeah. Now that's obviously a good thing.
Yeah.
Does a backlink coming in from Yelp or Manta help as much?
Yeah, I think the more of them that they get and the more powerful that the website is. So like the shampoo company, if that's a great shampoo company, that backlink is going to count for more than another website through there. Right. Well, we could talk about that afterwards anyway, sir.
All right, thanks.
Yep, no problem. So related to like where you come up in search results, sometimes I've heard people say like, Yahoo, I'm number 7 in Google. And you can see from this chart, this kind of says like how many clicks they get. So if you're number 7 in Google, you're only going to get about 4% of the clicks because everybody clicks the top results. If they don't, if people do a search and they don't get presented what they're thinking they're going to find, they usually would do a different search and to try to kind of zero it in related to that. And now with Google My Business and the map packs, now it's sort of even different. Like, there's the 3 websites that come up at the top, and it's like an equalizer. And almost people don't really even go to the regular organic listings if it's a local search result. So I guess it's doing any work for SEO and not thinking of like, well, I need to be number 1, 2, or 3 for that term to get any visitors. You have to understand that. Okay. So some of the regular keywords tools, there's a million of them out there. Let me first talk about Keywords Everywhere. So Keywords Everywhere is a Chrome plugin that you put into Chrome. It used to be free. It was awesome. It was like, wow, why is this thing still free? But they did finally go to a paid version, and everybody seemed to like, at least in my circles, they sort of dropped it like a hot potato because now it costs money to use Keywords Everywhere. But I went back into Keywords Everywhere and I took a look, and it's like, oh, what would they charge and what do you get for your money? And so you have to spend at least $10 with them. You could use a credit card or PayPal or whatever. And then that gives you a pot of like 100,000 searches within Keywords Everywhere. I spent $10 4 months ago, and I still have about 25% of my credits left. So in my opinion, like Keywords Everywhere is, that's the best $10 I ever spent in SEO, in my opinion. So it's an awesome tool. I'll show you how that works a little bit. Received an email probably about 2 weeks ago from this other one called WMS Everywhere. It's very similar to Keywords Everywhere, but it's free. So if you really didn't want to spend any money on it, try this WMS Anywhere. Both work very similar. I use Ahrefs as my keyword tool. It costs me about like $125 a month, something like that. And that's kind of an expensive one, but there's a lot of nice features in there. Ubersuggest is another keyword tool that it's free. There's a lot of other features. Neil Patel created that, and it works pretty good. It's kind of slow, and it doesn't have everything, but I figured I would put it here just to give people options if they didn't really have a keyword tool of choice as yet. And also Google Instant. So that's where you do a Google search, and Google has a little drop down below the search query window that says, did you mean this? Did you mean this? And Google's job is to try to get the right answers to everybody the quickest as possible. And so that's kind of why they queue up those already answered questions, and they have those waiting in the wings for you. So if you're doing a Google search for something and Google says, oh, did you mean such and such? And if you click on that link, like, yeah, that is what I mean, Google doesn't have to waste the horsepower and the time to bring up those results. It already has it queued up in the back. So I think that works pretty well. Here's an example of Google Instant that I used myself once that was pretty effective. There was a real estate agent that came to me, and he's like, oh, I want to work with you, and but he heard kind of what I charge, and he's like, I don't have a budget like that. And he's like, can you do anything, Bruce? Like, any way you can help me? And for what I got to spend, which was under $500 like total, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I can or not really, but there might not be anything that I do that is able to cause an effect. So then I was like, okay, well, let's do some searches. So Naperville real estate agent, no, way too competitive. But if I was a guy looking to buy a house, I probably wouldn't look for Naperville real estate. I'd probably look for houses for sale Naperville. And I did those searches. But like, wow, they're way more competitive than we could ever do anything for $500. But in just kind of playing around with those, I saw that Google presented the answer, houses for sale, Naperville School District 203. And I saw that something like 50 people a month were doing that search, and there was no competitors that were doing that search. So to me, it was like, oh, here's the gold. And so I ended up, we wrote some blog posts for him. He took some pictures of some different schools, and we made some pages, and he ended up ranking on the first page of Google for that search term. So that, I guess don't discount Google Instant. It's good to just keep working through it, and you might find an answer through there. All right. Okay. And then there comes Google Trends. So there's a lot of information inside of Google Trends. I don't know if people know about it, have played around with it before, but I've done a lot of extensive work for it, especially leading up to this event here. And I've discovered more things, and I'll kind of go through some of those things with you. So you could do a search all the way from 2004 and then zoom all the way down to what are people searching for within the last hour even. You can filter by country, states, and even metro area like the Chicago suburbs or downtown Chicago. So you could really filter through there. Sometimes it's hard when you think about, if you filter down too much, there's no results left. Years ago, I was working with an exterior home remodeling company, and they wanted to be #1 in Google for, like roofing, siding, windows, doors, all across Chicago.
What happened?
I don't know. It looks like Zoom knocked us out of here.
Okay.
Yeah. So just a blip in the internet, I think. or Zoom's stuff. Let me try to get back to the PowerPoint though. All right, so with Google Trends, there's a lot of different, filtering and playing around with to get the right results and things like that. And it used to be, I've kind of played with Google Trends from the beginning, and I did some affiliate marketing. And what I would do is I would look through the queries that were like rising trends, and then I would join the affiliate program of whatever that company was and try to capitalize on the revenue stream related to that. But they've kind of they've took that part and they've minimized it. Don't make it as easy as what it used to be. It used to be before you go to Google Trends and it was like, here's the 100 hot topics that are happening today, that type of stuff. So let me show you what Google Trends looks like. So it's basically, it starts out with you put a search term in here, or it gives you a couple of lead-ins. You can also, check trends over time. And then it gives you some of the recently trending keywords. Most of them I find is stars and things like that. So this is kind of the part that I've seen before, but they don't make it as easy as whatever, it used to be in the old days here. But usually you would just do different searches for keywords and you can compare them with another. And I don't know, let's just put web design through here and maybe compare it with web development. And so by default, it's set to be 12 months all across the United States. And so, but the overview here is that definitely a lot more people, like more than twice as many people are searching for using the keyword web design as opposed to searching for web development. You could look through this and say, well, what about in the last 90 days? It's kind of decreasing, if anything, not increasing up through here like this. You could also say, all right, so let's just say the last 30 days. See any changes through here? Not really too much. So, it's probably not a trending keyword at this point in time. And you could go back all the way to 5 years ago, or even back to where it starts is 2004. So like, wow, I never really saw that query before, but it looked like web development, the red one, has been pretty steady, and web design is going down. And why is that? I used to work in the trade show industry, and they sold trade show displays, and so that was a downward trending spiral there. And I had a friend that was in the business, kind of like a business buddy that I was a good friend of mine, and he was their business development manager. So he did cold calls. And so I once presented him with trade show displays and telemarketing. And I'm like, Alex, like, you got to find a new job. Both of the things that you do, what you do and who you're doing it for, are both trending downwards. But I did just talk to Alex not too long ago, and that's still exactly what he does. So I guess he's able to carve out a niche for himself that way. Related to different trends, you could even zoom in and say, well, what about in Illinois? And, in this instance here, got pretty similar results, but it could be like you do a search for soda and pop, and they more likely call it pop down south, and they call it soda in the north, right? We'll go through some other, we'll have some better examples through here. There's also a way of seeing how many, once you kind of have some competitors or keywords in mind, you can see how many people are already trying to capitalize for those particular keywords. So related to, it's easier to rank for a particular keyword if nobody else is trying to rank for a particular keyword. And if the most important place to put a keyword is in the title tag of your page or on your website, then this query, which is just all one word, all in title, :space, a keyword, then that's going to tell you how many other websites are, have links, or excuse me, how many other websites are using that keyword in the title tag of that page. So for example, coronavirus SEO webinar. That's today's webinar. And I did this all in title, and it says, Google says, well, I only see 4 other pages on the internet that have this keyword in the title of its site like that. So those are both me and I don't know, somehow some other news sites, or maybe just a Facebook post in some other language or something like that. So if let's just take out the webinar part and say coronavirus SEO. So that means there's 1,350 other web pages you're going to have to climb past, basically, to do it like that. But it's really a good way of gauging how tall, or it's not really gauging how tall the mountain is. It's gauging how many people you have to climb past to get to the top of the mountain. So I know from doing SEO for as many years as I did, a number that's around 1,000, we're not talking about the trending things or anything like that, just a regular keyword and competitor analysis for that keyword. If it was around 1,000, if somebody was spending $1,000 a month with me and they were working with me for 6 months, I could probably get to the top of that of just doing good SEO. If you see a number under 10, you should know that you could be on the first page of Google in just in a week's time or something like that, because there's nobody else that's trying to be number 1 for you there at that point in time, right? So
I've got a question for you, if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah, as long as it's a quick one here. Yep.
Quick one. Do you know if there's any kind of a list? You have the all-in title as a parameter. Do you have any idea if there's a list of other such parameters that can be used?
There is. I think you just do a Google search, or like Google search parameters or something like that. You'll find that. There's all kinds of like all in URL, all in, I don't know, there's a million of different ones. But out of all of those, this would be where an SEO person would definitely make sure that they put that keyword in the title of a page or a post. So that's kind of what I use for measuring that thing. But there is other ways of doing that too. Okay. So then once you figure out a keyword, once you have a good keyword identified, where do you use that? There's so many places that you could use it. You could use it on a new page or a post on your website. If you're trying to dominate for local search results, Google My Business is sort of like the untapped vein of gold that most people don't realize that they could do. So if you have a Google My Business listing and you add a Google post and it includes that keyword, Google is definitely going to help your website rank better for that particular keyword too. So optimizing Google My Business is an important part. It's like 45% of SEO power for local searches. There's a lot of things that you could do inside of a Google My Business listing. Let me just show you here real quick. There's a number of clients and who I'm working with now, but we'll just use my own website as an example here. So how to optimize Google My Business is make sure you have the right business categories, fill it out as detailed as you can through here, include a business description that uses some of the right keywords, add photos in each of the different categories that you have through here. So it really, Google wants to have like at least 5 photos in each of these categories. And then create posts. So a post should include, here, let's just try to look at one of them here. You can have an image, you can have text. If you have at least 80 words within your text, all the better. I used to think that just a sentence or two was good enough, but I've recently learned that, like, no, if you have some content and that content includes your keyword, all the better. And you could put a backlink back to your website here, and you could also have a little button. I'll show you how we're going to edit that. So here's the image. You can have, here's
Sorry.
Yeah.
Mr. Bruce, can you say how can I how can we match traffic with local SEO rank? How can we engage and people to click in my Google Map?
Yeah, so then I think you just have to keep doing more of this same type of a thing, and then it just sort of happens, you know. So my Google My Business, I'm trying to put engaging content and keep doing that. These expire every week, so you have to keep it up. It's not like a set it and forget it type of thing, but you have to make sure that you include the keywords of what you want to be found for in all kinds of different variety of ways of doing that, you know, and kind of compel people to want to read more and click the buttons and things like that, right? There's so much more to go here. I'll probably do one of these about like how to optimize Google My Business, and but I wanted to kind of touch on where there's missed opportunities if somebody is trying to rank for local results and they're not doing stuff in Google My Business, because this is where it all matters related to local search answers. Okay. Other ways that you can leverage a keyword, social media posts, you know, dig up some hashtags and see what's trending over through there. Even the name of the image, you can do a right mouse click, rename, make sure that keyword's in the name of the image. You can go to properties of that image and add things like the title and descriptions and tags, all kinds of different, you know, ways of optimizing images. Or you could even use those keywords in Google Ads. I don't really do anything with Google Ads myself, since I'm a committed search engine optimization person, and Google Ads are kind of against my religion, but I could see that you could definitely leverage that for keywords that are trending, and there's nobody trying to compete for those keywords yet, so it probably wouldn't cost very much money to bid on those, right? This is just talking about like how local SEO has evolved. So, you know, I had a regular full-blown SEO company with 7 employees before, and mostly we would write blog posts and we would build backlinks. But you know, this is kind of the way I see it now. If there's local search results and you're not leveraging Google My Business, then you're missing that opportunity there. So I'm happy that I almost don't want this slide to get out there too much, because the other guys might figure it out. But I see it as a very big opportunity, right? So now let's talk about some of the Google Trends sort of stuff, because that's really what the meat of this presentation, I think, is about, is playing around in Google Trends to discover some things. So at first, I went to my daughter. She's training to be a nurse, and so around the dinner table she's always saying, you know, COVID-19 this, COVID-19 that, and I'm saying coronavirus, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if you know, how are people searching for that keyword? So I opened up keywords everywhere and did a search and found out like nobody's, like, it's saying 0, and I looked at Ahrefs and it's saying 0, like, wow, like this can't be true. So then I went to Google Trends and it was like, wow, it's flying off the charts. But in which way? So, you know, COVID-19 or COVID-19, if it was written, would be how my daughter would say it always, you know, being a nurse. But look at how infrequently that's how people search for it. Everybody's searching for it. Coronavirus. when I presented that to my daughter, she's like, yeah, but coronavirus is a type of virus, that COVID-19 is one of the items in there. I'm like, yeah, but people don't know all that crap. They're just looking for coronavirus this, coronavirus that. So I think this clearly defines that, you know, if it's the word coronavirus or COVID-19, you're wondering what you should optimize something for, this is the winner by, you know, clearly through here like this. But what I did through the presentation is put, you know, this is the snapshot in time from whenever I did this search. I don't remember when it was, but it was a couple of weeks ago here, at least. But here's the query going into Google Trends now of what that looks like. So it's sort of tapered off in some ways because everybody that wants to know about it already does know about it to some degree. But we certainly could filter this and say, well, what about the last 7 days though? Or, you know, you could just even bring things up for the last hour. I mean, we still got the trends through here, but you could say in the last 12 months, this is what it looks like. So, wow, that's a big difference. And I don't have an easy way of presenting this information to you, but kind of the way I saw it going was the East Coast and the West Coast was where it started coming up. And then it jumped into Chicago, and then it filled in the blanks on the rest of the United States, where it kind of went over through there like that. So at some point in time, like, is it going to be that first quarantined, first released, or is it going to go a different way through here? So that kind of information you could leverage. Some of the towns like Wyoming was the last instance of them coming up, but they finally did get into this grid here like that too. Right, so we go to the next page. So here's just some different examples, and feel free to share some examples with me. We could do it live and we'll all learn related to that. But what about like toilet paper and hand sanitizer? And this is over the last 90 days. So, you know, the world was going crazy on this date exactly. I wonder if that's, so in Illinois, notice how some of them are different trends going through there. And then if you also scroll down through these different examples, you know, people are like, why are people buying toilet paper? Or how to make your own hand sanitizer, or like where I noticed before, like where to buy toilet paper, because people were going to Costco and they were all out. So they were doing Google searches related to that search term like that. And I should mention also too, while we're on this page, besides just web searches here, you can also bring it into image searches. So when people are doing a Google search in images, then that's the results that you can get. Or Google News through here like that too, or shopping. From my experience with it, they are kind of pretty mirrored together. You know, when people do a search for one thing, they're doing a search for the same type of thing, you know. But maybe some people want to find a video of like fighting over toilet paper. It sounds funny to me. Here's one piece. I was trying to think of ideas like to use as practical application. And what about if you're trying to help a restaurant? So should they optimize for, you know, a carry-out restaurant, or should they optimize for the purple one here, restaurant takeout? You could see that, you know, in the last 30 days, restaurant takeout is the clear leader. But what about in Illinois? It might be a little bit different. And what about not in the last 30 days, but let's just say in the last 4 hours? And we don't really have much to go by here. And we could see that most of the searches were, you know, all around the Chicago area. Not too many people are searching for that in the rest of Illinois, mostly because they probably don't go to the restaurants. They're cooking food at home in this instance, and this is related to carry-out restaurants. my wife, like I mentioned, she teaches French out of her house. So I'm like, well, she actually uses Skype, but that's only because she was used to using Skype because of, she was teaching classes in the people that ever come to our house, and a couple of people moved out of the area or they went on vacation or something like that. And so she continued with Skype with them. And so I'm like, well, the more are people looking for French lessons using Skype, or in this instance here, French classes using Zoom? Like, do they care? And it was like, no, not really much, but a lot of people are searching for French classes online or online French lessons. So this yellow one is French classes online. So if I was going to optimize a blog post for her right now, this is going to be the keyword that I use. Notice that nobody's searching for French classes Skype, which at one point in time was on my radar a year ago, because that's the way people were kind of searching for that. But nowadays, they don't really care. They're searching for it in different fashions. I have one of my clients I have two clients that are like CPAs and accounting and stuff like that. So they want to write some timely blog post about how there's the tax relief part that's coming through that you don't have. You're going to get some money back because of the coronavirus, or there's other terms related to taxes. The tax deadline got put off a little bit. So this is some of those things, so you can see which ones are higher and all kinds of different trends here. So there's a lot of crazy stuff here, but if you use the other keywords tools and you just went for coronavirus tax relief, 0 searches, it's going to come down related to that. So you really got to use trends to get that. How about the next thing, or the now thing really is respirators. I guess it's going down. So when I first added the link to the presentation, it was not down, it was up. But different areas that you could, and other terms like the N95 respirators. So if you had a garage full of those and you're looking to sell them, you could sell them at the right time, right? Because that's probably where the prices are the highest too. How about marketing and SEO? I think some of the things that I played around with are like coronavirus SEO or COVID-19 SEO type of keywords, but coronavirus marketing is the clear winner here. How about within the last 4 hours? You can see for sure that still wins. But if we break it out and stand back further from the data, it was nowhere. But the first time somebody did a search was on January 21st. So somebody was smart enough to try to think about like that. They saw that coming and they started doing some searches, and it was marketing related, and then it just kept growing up. And for whatever reason at this time that the searches stopped. And this is results in the United States. You could also say the world or in a different country through here. And then it ended up flying off the charts. So related to Illinois, same kind of results that you see there. And then if you guys, when we get to the end of this, if you guys want to give your tips, we can go through there. I want to show a couple other tools that I use that you might not be aware of. One of them is called Keyword Hero. And that's a plugin that you put into Google Analytics. So it's sort of like you let it attach itself to Google Analytics. And then when you go into your Google Analytics account, you're going to see your regular, the normal Google Analytics listing, and then you're going to see a Keywords Hero view. So when you add Keywords Hero, you're only going to be able to collect up information from that point forward. You can't look historical information up. So you need both of them through here. You can't just say like, okay, flip them all to that. But when you flip it to the Keywords Hero, you actually get to see the keywords that your website is ranking for. And so that used to be, 15 years ago, that was possible. Nowadays, for a long time, that has not been possible. So here's one-on-one SEO training, me putting this webinar on here and a couple of blog posts. So these are the keywords that are driving traffic to my website. So if I look at the acquisition, so, out of, let's see, you could set the date. Let's just say the last 30 days, apply. So in the last 30 days, 218 people did a most likely Google search. And so many people clicked, they just typed in the name or clicked it on an email. 61 times they clicked on another website. 35 times they clicked on social, or a number of them clicked on email. So if I go in and say, okay, what were these search terms then? And then we expand this open to say, now let me see a longer list than just 10. And these are all of them. So some of them that are more long-term keywords for me, personalized SEO training, but some other ones like SEO, COVID-19, that brought somebody in to the website, and a lot of other ones. But I guess I'm trying to stress the point here is like, this is an awesome tool just to link into Google Analytics. It doesn't cost anything for the version that I have. It's just there's a small version and which gives you enough to get this data. That's good enough for me, I think. So that's really great. And then you could even go through here in Google Analytics and say secondary dimension of page. And you could say like, oh, so what page was on your website was ranking for that keyword?
Bruce, does that attach your regular Google Analytics filters, or do you have to reestablish those?
No, what you do is you go to Keywords Everywhere, or Keywords Hero rather. You go to that website and there's a little button that you say, click to log into Keywords Hero, and it is presented with your your login for Google Analytics, and then you link it to there and you go through a couple steps. But it's 1, 2, 3 kind of thing. But then you have to sit back and wait for it to bake. Once you do finally attach that. So then, in this instance, somebody did like 23 people in the last 30 days did this search, and then that brought them into this page, right? And this page is all about how to try to, market yourself in this day and age with all this stuff going on. Other people were looking for like SEO tools, and then they came to this page, a page that I kind of made a collection of 100 different free SEO tools. This is a link to this as part of the resources on the bottom here. But so that's cool. The next.
Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Do you write this article for keyword COVID-19 SEO? Do write this blog?
One of my writers did it for me. Yeah. So I have a writer. She's actually my daughter, but I do have other writers that I work with, other professionals. So I had a meeting with her and I said, this is the way I want to say this article. Here's the keywords to use in there. She gave it back to me. She got it in this instance. Not always does she. And then I tweaked it up a little bit to produce that. So, she asked me, of course, the question like, how long does it have to be? And I'm like, if it's like more than 1,500 words, it's probably going to be way better than the 500 word articles that you give me usually. And, make sure that those insert all of the versions of, does it say COVID-19 within it? Yeah, sure it does too. Because I guess it kind of comes down to, if you're writing an article about a hospital, it's expecting to see doctors, nurses, patients, beds, all those other keywords related to that.
Yeah, thank you. And do you use Yoast plugin in WordPress CMS? Yoast. Y O
No, I don't do any of the spinning stuff. It's just
YOAST.
oh, Yoast. Yes, I
Plugin.
use Yoast SEO plugin. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So here's another cool tool. I just discovered this only about a week ago, where here's what it looks like. It's also a Chrome extension. So I can put in either like a town or even an exact address of somewhere, and then you can enable it or disable it. So let's just say Dallas, Texas. And I'm going to enable this. And I'm just going to go to, and I'm going to do a search for pizza. So now the results are pizza parlors in Dallas. Right? Pretty cool. And you could also do a thing like my address, 362. And now it's enabled for my physical address where I'm at right now. And these are the results. So apparently Office Depot has some. They probably recycled all their paper and turned it into that, right? Just trying to be funny, but you understand the concept of now we're searching from this map pin instead of another area. I scared myself the other day where I do a lot of SEO for my wife, her French lessons. So I did a search for like French classes near me. And she wasn't number one. She wasn't anywhere. She was like, what happened? And I realized I had the location set for Phoenix, Arizona, the location of one of my clients. And it's like, oh, okay. So that scared me for a moment, though. This is, while I'm on this page, I might as well show you what Keywords Everywhere looks like. So this is Keywords Everywhere results up across through the top. And it also gives other examples of keywords here. But if we looked for, let's say we saw good trending keywords for coronavirus marketing. This keyword says, nope, nobody's searching for that. But we know that's a lie because of what Google Trends gave us. Even if we just took out marketing and just said coronavirus. It does say that a number of people are searching for it in this instance here. And then it breaks it down. It just didn't, it takes a while to get updated, I guess, like all the other keyword tools related to that. And let's go back to this. So now that's pretty much the end of this. If you got a couple ideas to throw into Google Trends for me, feel free to unmute yourself and speak up if you'd like. Otherwise, I'll just tell you a little bit more, just kind of the summary here, and you could just play around with those things on your own, right? So this is a little bit more about what I do. So personalized SEO strategy and training for business owners, entrepreneurs, marketing departments. It's not just like learning SEO and then you got to figure out how to use it on your own website. We're both together working on your website together, and whatever your website needs the most, that's what you're going to learn the most, and we're just going to do that. And so it used to be online or in person, although we have to take the scratch out for in person right now. And then also I'm the accountability partner. So as you're, if we're working together and you said you were going to do these things for your homework, I'm going to make sure that I check it out related to that for, in our next meeting. And then here's kind of a quote that I put together. Really, it's just like the more I can try to help other people, the more I become more successful myself. and then a list of some different resources through here, but I've kind of sprinkled them across through this thing. So happy to take questions of anybody though.
Is there an ideal number of keywords on a particular page?
On a particular page, I'm sorry, that's who's speaking there, Robert?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not loud enough for me to hear you. But I think you asked, like, is there an ideal number of keywords to optimize for?
Yes, I was told originally 3 was a good number, and I ranked pretty well with it. Then I was told 5 was a better number. I reset all the pages, and it actually went down. I'm resetting them back to 3. Is 1 or 2 a better number, or what's a good number?
Yeah, I think really the way I would approach it is it's 1 and a couple other related ones, because now if you're trying to say 5 and those aren't exactly related to each other, maybe you're diluting the power of the 1. So I would rather just say, like, here's my main keyword. I'm trying to rank for this exact term, but these other ones help to are on the same topic. Some people now, there's some pretty famous SEO guys that just say, I don't even play around with keywords anymore. I just think about the topic and the intent. So does your article answer that question related to that?
All right, that helps. Thanks.
You're welcome. All right.
Hello, I have a question. How useful it is to, let's say, use a keyword with, let's say, we know, for example, coronavirus as a keyword itself has a huge volume right now.
Yeah.
How useful would it be to use another keyword we want to rank for with coronavirus? Like, for example, the keyword we want to rank for is French classes online. So we use a title for a blog, let's say, about that would be take French classes online during coronavirus. How useful would that be?
I guess that's where you'd want to go into to Google Trends to find out if that is there, because we know that it would be a current one. So the keyword tools, forget about those. But okay, so we just have to do it like this, and we'll remove this. All right, so it says nobody's looking for it here. Let's just say corona. We might be getting results for coronavirus in France as opposed to like French lessons kind of things.
Okay.
So then how about we do it like this? French classes, lessons. And let's see if there's any trends in these. So it says French language. I did it for a whole 12 months, so let's say 90 days. Let's look at it again here. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to identify a spike at some point. Like this is sort of like, but French language is maybe off target really. It doesn't mean the same thing as the other two. It doesn't look like people are looking more for it now than it was in the past. If because of the coronavirus, people were trying to take more French lessons, then we would see something coming up on the right-hand side over here.
Okay.
So that's one of the things. It doesn't mean that there's not some people, just because it's not enough to show here, then it's still, you could maybe capitalize on it, or maybe Spanish instead of French over through here if that's a fit. But you probably could use, any word and coronavirus just to see what's coming from that. And you might also, let's try to find a page somewhere on the internet. I don't know.
So using both terms together wouldn't really make any difference, right?
Well, I haven't discovered that anybody is searching for that. So yes, you could be number one for that with the rest of the conversation, but maybe it's not worth it because nobody's looking for that.
Okay.
So you could go to, let's say, a particular page. This page was ranking well for that. You could go to any page related to this. And there's another tool called Word Tracker Scout. And that's another Chrome plugin. And if I push this button, it'll come back and it'll display the results of like, what are all the keywords that are found on this page? So it's sort of like, what is this page about? And here's all those keywords there. So you could filter and look through these. Coronavirus toilet paper. Yeah, that's kind of what I searched for. So that's why Google chose to put it there. If it didn't have those keywords in there, Google wouldn't have wasted the time to put it there.